I know you're listening. You're here because something isn't right. Something feels twisted, upside down. Things don't add up. Hello, human. Welcome to our twisted universe. In this episode, we talk about what goes on in the minds of our pets, both living and deceased, with experienced animal psychic, energy therapist, and teacher, Ani the Animal Communicator. Hello, human.
Hi, and welcome to our Twisted Universe. Today we're going to be talking to Ani, the Animal Communicator. Hi, Ani.
Hi, you
How's it going?
Good.
We are so excited to have you today. I'm sure our viewers are just going to love hearing what you have to say today.
I hope that they love to hear what the animals have to say today.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm very curious.
So cool. So cool. Okay, so you communicate with animals. How did you get started?
Okay, so I started communicating with animals. I didn't know it. I was 3 years old. And my family thought that this dog was my imaginary friend. And I kept seeing him. I mean, I still remember what he looks like and everything because I communicated with him for so many years. I kept seeing him kind of like in a ghostly form, and I didn't think it was scary or anything. I mean, you're 3, you don't know any different. And so we would have conversations, and I talked to him. His name was Toby. He was a miniature schnauzer,
Oh,
and he would tell me things, talk to him, and it was like we would play ball and all these things. And I just thought it was like normal. And then when I was older, about I guess 9 years old, my mom was always into like, different metaphysical stuff. And so we went to a psychic, and the psychic said things to me about Toby, that he was real, and that she says, "Are you experiencing any other things?" And I said, "I've always had difficulty sleeping, and I see shadows and I hear voices, and I've always had difficulty sleeping." And she says, "Well, there's spirits that are trying to contact you." And it was so scary for me as a child, like to go to sleep. And my mom had to actually find out about guided meditation so I'd be able to go to sleep. And so a lot of my life as a child, I never talked to people about being an empath and understand and hearing animals and feeling other people's feelings and things like that. Talk to anybody about. And because it was just like, oh, you're weird, you're strange, and I would get picked on. So I just didn't stop saying anything like past the age of 8 to people. And then I realized I grew up in Miami, Florida, and there was the Miami Zoo. And so when I was a child, I would love to go to the Miami Zoo because I would, get messages, hear them talking to me, and I would do this a lot in middle school. And so that was that. And I then later on, when I was older, I started taking care of dogs in my home, and people would go out of town, and when people were at work for 13 years. And during that time, I was like, you know what? I want to start. This was back in '08. And I said, I want to start looking into what I can do to to be able to figure out how to turn it off and turn it on. Because that was my problem. It wasn't My issue was not to be able to communicate and learn how to communicate, but learn how to control my gift more.
Yep.
So, I started looking into it, and I was like, all right, this was around 2011. And I found this woman that she wrote a book, and she said that she was doing mentorship. And so I called her. I said, this is my situation. You don't have to teach me to do it. You just have to teach me to turn it off and turn it on. And she was like, okay, I can do that. And so I had 4 sessions with her over the phone. I never saw her in person. And when I started doing her techniques, it was like, wow, okay, so I, I know what to do now. And so at that time too, I got a certification in a energy balancing modality with reconnective, well, they call it reconnective for animals, reconnective balancing. They use the word healing, but reconnective balancing for animals. Um, so I did my first energy modality with that. And then at that point, I had a friend of a friend that was in the LAPD canine bomb unit. And the guy called me and said, look, my partner's a canine and I have a problem. He's not passing any of the required exams. Like he has to walk through a field and be able to. I said, don't tell me. I just really need a picture. So he sent me a picture of Pistol. That was his name. He's now in spirit. May he rest in peace. Um, and I communicated with him, and he's like, hey, listen, you got to tell my partner to relax because he is making me a nervous wreck. I can't handle this. Like, I mean, I feel like I'm going to hyperventilate, like, you know. And he said, he has to back off. I know what I'm doing. Like, and he literally said, I don't care if this guy needs to go drink a beer. I don't care. Whatever he has to do, go meditate, pray, whatever. Go take a long bath. Like, let me handle me. Well, I told the human, and he says to me, he goes, well, how do I know he said, he's got a handle. Just trust me on this. This is the messages that I got, and he's got a handle. You have to back off. So the guy backed off, the police officer, and he qualified. The dog qualified 7 more times and passed 7 times every year to stay a bomb unit dog.
Aw.
And then I worked with another dog of inside the LAPD canine bomb unit that was having a different issue. And that's how it kind of started for me as a professional career. Because
Yeah.
before then I would only talk to animals and it wasn't professional.
Wow.
Hmm.
So then after you worked with the animals at the did you say LAPD?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then from there you just started seeing clients or
Yes. So I started seeing clients, and it was some of them were from California that they would call me. Um and this was way before Zoom. So I didn't really do Skype. It was more just like via phone at that point. Um and then I had some clients that were my dogs that I had been taking care of in my home, that they would call me and say, look, I, I have a friend of a friend, and this dog has a behavioral issue, or this dog or I have a friend that they have a cat and the cat is really, really sick and they're afraid that the cat's going to die in the middle of the night. Like, what can you talk to this cat, see what's happening? And it started to kind of just like happen from there. I did see some clients in person for a little while, around, you know, I would say up until I did see for a period of time, but I realized that it was just more beneficial for the animal, even if they lived only 10 minutes away from me. it was more beneficial for the animal that the animal was not present if they were in body, because they
Interesting.
would get nervous. They would get nervous.
Huh. So your Zoom calls and over the phone is just a better way to communicate with the animals in general.
Definitely. And I'm glad too, because I've had the opportunity and been able to really help and communicate with animals and their people. I've had some clients in the UK, India. I have clients a lot in from Canada. So it makes it really convenient for them.
Yeah, that's rad. That's
Yeah.
really cool. You wouldn't expect that, but that's I was thinking maybe more in person for the animals, but I mean, being a psychic, it's like you get information. You don't have to be in the same room or the same country.
Absolutely not. And it's people are like, well, how do you do it? You know, I don't, I just, I get that all the time from social media. They'll be like, they'll send me you know, they'll send me these emails, or they'll send me a private message, and they're like, I just don't understand how you do it.
Well, yeah, I mean, everybody I think has abilities, but we just don't all know how to turn them in, tune it in, and then everybody has different gifts. So
And I'm glad that you said that, because I mean, I've taught classes to people that have never spoken to an animal before.
how does that work out for them?
So basically, with the techniques that I show them, and all it is that I'm showing you how to get out of your own way. So you cannot second guess what you're getting.
Yeah,
That's the biggest thing. No second, you have to turn off the second guessing, because that's the big thing. We all do it at the beginning.
right. Am I really?
Yeah, big time.
I was wondering because that would be something I'd be interested in. I think it'd be really cool.
So yes, I have taught classes, and I'm actually right now in the middle of putting together the class recordings so that I can do mentorship. So it would be more of a one-on-one instead of a big class.
Well, you'll have to let us know about that.
Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. When my video editor has it all together.
Fully baked. Sounds good. What kind of animals do you talk to?
I communicate with animals that are literally every species. I have spoken to fish. That's interesting. They're special in the way that they just it's more of like, okay, well, oh yeah, you wanted to know about how it's going in the pond, or because this lady contacted me and she wanted to know about her pond fish. How were they feeling? Was it too cold for them? Because it was on a farm.
Hmm.
And I said, okay, I'll tell you when I get. I mean, a being is a being. So I communicate with every single type of being, in body, in spirit, wild or domesticated. It doesn't. So they basically just told me, yeah, it's staying pretty warm if we stay down here, and we're eating the pellets, and yeah, it's all good. Kind of kept it real simple.
Like talking to Dory.
Yeah, so it was my first time, because I usually communicate with cats, dogs, horses, birds, guinea pigs, ferrets.
That's so fun. Um, I don't know why, but an octopus popped in my head. Have you ever talked to an octopus?
I would love to talk to an octopus. That would be so cool.
I know they're just the coolest. I heard they're like weirdly intelligent. So I wonder what that conversation would be like.
Wow. I would love to talk to an octopus. I would love to talk to like more like marine animals, like, because I know that dolphin and whales are
Oh.
very highly intelligent. I'd love to speak to one of that.
Yeah.
Go jump in the ocean in Hawaii and see what you get.
That's great.
Can you just like say walk out on a pier and spot a creature and communicate with it, or
Yeah, I have communicated, like for instance, I've communicated with birds in my backyard.
Oh, that's so neat. It's really just kind of like focusing in on them, right? Like they're all around you, even bugs, I'm sure.
That's it. But people ask me, "Oh, am I communicating all the time?" The answer is no. Because then literally I wouldn't be able to like preserve my own energy.
Yeah,
right?
it's be draining.
Yeah, it would be very draining. So what I do is I just turn it's like an on and off switch. I turn off the switch, and then if I'm gonna communicate with that animal, I focus my energy on that animal, turn on the switch, and literally I quiet my mind, open my heart, make the connection through usually a photo. And if I don't have a photo, let's say this happened to me before that the animal has crossed over and it was a long time ago. They don't have a photo, they have a physical description. That's good enough. The name and that's it. And I start receiving messages through images, words, emotions. I can sometimes smell things. So it's at this point in my life, it's gone to all five senses.
I was just starting to get the feels over that, thinking about how much you must be helping people through the transition when their animals do cross over. Like that is so traumatizing for some people. I'm one of those people. And what a beautiful blessing to be able to talk to their pets on the other side. I think
It really is. And um, so I communicated, and this was kind of interesting. I've communicated with a lot of animals that the person contacts me to find out if they're ready to transition. It's a transitioning session to find out. Um, and again, all I have is the name and the name of the animal and their photo. That's it. I don't want to know anything else. So this lady contacted me from Colorado, and she booked a session. I knew nothing. She sends me the picture of the horse. And she wanted a phone session. So we're on the phone and I'm looking at the photo of the horse. And she said, I've accomplished a lot and I'm ready to cross over. I said, okay. And the lady started to cry. And she said, that's why I contacted you today. I said, okay. I said, she's scheduled to be assisted by the veterinarian tomorrow. The lady told me. She said, I just needed to make sure that she was really ready. And I said, yes. And the horse shared with me about her accomplishments and how proud she was that she was able to do all the things that she did in her life. And then she said to me, she said, I'm in a lot of pain,
oh,
physical pain. And I really need to let go of my horse suit. That's how she put it.
that's really interesting.
And then she contacted me a year later. And this does happen a lot with my clients. They'll want to know how they're doing.
Ah, yeah.
So she contacted me a year later and she said, I want to know how Bella's doing. That was the horse. I said, sure. So she sends me, I said, I can still use the same photo that I had, for our last session. She said, sure. She says, but I can send you some other ones. So she sent me some other ones. And I connect with Bella, and right away, Bella's like, I just want to tell her, I'm on the heavenly plane. I'm in a good place. And then she started sharing with me how she what was her experience of when she crossed over. and who she's with. Now, this is the very interesting part. They'll tell me who they're with. It could be another animal or a human, or it's very personal. So she says to me, she goes, I'm with a man. And she describes to me the man. Sorry. This is my baby. She says to me, she goes, I'm with a man, and this man is wearing a cowboy hat. She's describing the man to me. And I said, I see an R name. She's telling me an R name, an R name. I can't understand what she's saying to me. And this woman starts to gasp. And she's like, oh my God. She's like, and I'm describing him exactly to a T of what I'm seeing this man looks like, of how the horse is telling me how the man, because I don't see the man. I'm not a human medium, psychic medium. I'm only an animal psychic medium. So they describe to me who they're with. So she started to describe this man, and she's like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And I said, the horse says that the man says, tell his wife he's okay. And the woman was like, I said to her, I said, but who is this? Because I don't understand the connection. And she goes, oh my gosh, it's Bella's first owner.
Oh,
He
wow.
died. And then I was the second owner of her.
Hmm.
And so Bella kept saying other things that this man wanted his wife to know. And so after the session, the lady called the widow, told her. Because I'm not a human medium. So all I could do is pass on the message from the animal.
Wow.
The horse says that your husband says to take care of yourself.
By the way, Bella is with your husband. Bear with me here, lady.
Yeah.
Wow. I bet that was an interesting phone call.
I literally don't know what happened because I didn't ask her, but she was like, I gotta call her. I gotta let her know.
How fun. What a trip. This is so cool. I love it. I'm an animal freak. So what do you think your favorite story is, or with helping animals or their families?
Okay, so that was one.
Yeah.
Was pretty cool. I would have to say another one was okay, so this cat, there's two of them about a cat that very funny. Okay, so one of them was a funny story. So, and I think it's also helping because there's a cat and a dog situation. Now there's three cats in this household, and then there's the dog. The dog Goldie, she's a golden retriever. She was only just about a year at this point. And the leader of the cats, his name's Siam, he wanted her to just leave him alone. Like he just wants to be left alone. He wants to sun, wants to eat. This is what he keeps telling. Goldie, all she wants is to befriend him. She keeps bringing him toys. And she's just like so happy about it. So the reason why the family contacted is because they realized that there's a disruption with the cat and the dog, meaning that why is this cat not accepted? And I know nothing other than seeing the two pictures. So both animals are describing their side to me. And it was just wild because I'm like, okay, I need to talk to you, and then I need to talk to you separate because hold on, wait a minute. So, which I have no problem talking to multiple animals in one session. It's just one at a time, please, So Goldie's like, yeah, but I just want a friend, and I just wanted to like me, and I wanted to like me. And I said, sweetheart, listen, it's okay that he doesn't like you. It's not about him liking you. It's just he wants you to just leave him alone. He likes you, just leave him alone. You don't need to keep peppering him with toys. So then Siam was like, look, I don't, and he kept saying it. He's like, I just want to be left alone. And he would say, I don't want anything. Like, and it was pretty funny because I'm trying to remember the exact wording that he used, but it was like, oh, that's what it was. It's exactly what it was. Because she was because she is a golden retriever, she loves to be doing things, right? And he says to her, he goes, listen, I don't do things. He goes, I sunbathe, I bathe myself, I eat, I poop, and I pee. These are the things I do in life. He goes, but I don't do things. I don't want to do things. Literally, I don't do things. The two owners, the husband and wife, were roaring on the phone because they couldn't get a breath in, because this is exactly what they're seeing, but they're not hearing the cat say this, right? But they're seeing him even roll his eyes at the stuff. I mean, it was hysterical. So I told Goldie, I said, Goldie, listen, he accepts. It's just he doesn't do things, honey. Just let it be. So in that, I was able to help them harmony with the home. And I also did tell them too, because I'll suggest things like, I'll ask the animals, okay, well, in this circumstance, will a thunder shirt work? Or in this circumstance, and I'll energetically test to see if it works with them, and they'll tell me a yes or a no. So I did recommend some flower essences, or specifically for harmony, that could be put in the water, and all of them could be drinking it. And and the owners told me that it helped. So I was like, yay, okay, good. That was that case. And there was a cat. This was a cat in Manhattan. This cat, because at the beginning of every session, I will ask the animal, so that the human knows that it's them. I always ask them about their personality. And he says, well, I'm very smart. So he describes himself. And then I start getting images of him getting into things. I mean, like literally going into the kitchen cupboard, pulling out the bread, opening the bread, pulling slices out. And I said, look, I'm getting these images. I have to share it with you. She goes, oh yeah, we had to put baby locks on things. Because he gets into everything. He opens pizza boxes.
Oh, gotta stay out of that pizza, kitty.
Yeah. So then the lady asks me, how does he feel about my sister-in-law? And I said, right when this lady says it, I hear the cat say, oh my gosh, I can't stand her voice, because all I hear is it. Cat starts complaining that this woman is so nasally, he can't handle to be around the woman. And I said, I'm sorry, I have to tell you exactly how it sounds to me. He's describing it to me, don't kill the messenger kind of thing. So she tells me, she goes, oh my gosh, it's true. They were on FaceTime with the sister-in-law. The cat comes over, starts to hear her, and turns off the phone because he can't stand her voice.
That's so interesting.
He's like, whoops.
Whoops, I just
Like a flash pressure or something.
Yeah. Do it. I'm a cat.
Oopsie. Wow, she's smart.
Very, very smart. So those are some that, that was more behavioral things. But that was really, really, those were some interesting ones. Those were some fun ones.
That's crazy. That's so fun.
Have you ever had any that are scary or kind of creepy?
Um, Not so much creepy, but I did have a dog tell me that the wife was having an affair on the husband.
You get a little more than you bargained for when you call the animal communicator. That's rad.
Didn't say it out loud, right? Didn't, because it wasn't my place. It's
Ooh.
literally the dog says to me, when mommy she said, when mommy goes to church, that's what he said to me. Daddy brings another lady in the house and goes to the bedroom. I said nothing. I was like, oh, and I just went on to the next thing, the next topic. So about a year later, she calls me. She found out that her husband was cheating on her. They're just separated. Now, in this session, she has about 5 dogs on a farm. And I told her, I said, now I can tell you. She said, tell me what? And I said, well, he told me things. This certain dog, your Cedar, was the one that told me this. And she says to me, she goes, okay. She said, well, what else is he telling you? I need to know. And I asked Cedar, and he started spilling his guts in detail of how many times a week this woman, what did she look like, the whole 9 yards. The dog starts sharing all these images to me, what she looked like.
Ooh.
And everything, like that her hair was kind of like wavy blonde, whole 9 yards.
Did the woman know who it was?
Yes.
Oh no.
Because it was a small town.
Whoa.
It was a small town, and the woman was like, oh, that's who I thought it was.
That is so rad.
So you never know. People say kids say the darndest things. No, animals share the darndest things.
That is so funny. I would have never even considered something like that. That is such a trip.
It was wild. And I'm sitting there the whole time, because this was, by the way, this was a Zoom. So I'm sitting there the whole time going, oh my gosh, I hope she asks her animal another question. That's what I'm thinking in my head. Like, I hope she asks her animal another question.
That's an awkward conversation, I'm sure. And they always get mad at the messenger. So like, should you have told her? Right. It's probably a good idea. Let's see. I've heard this before and I was wondering if it's true. Some people say that like there can be walk-in spirits onto animals, and I wasn't so sure if that was true, but I've heard it mentioned.
Well, me personally, through the decades of communicating with animals, I have never had a walk-in spirit, but a lot of animals that I deal with, I would say maybe a fifth. When they call me for a behavior issue, what is the problem? Is it a behavior issue? And then they'll say to me, well, they won't call me for that, but they don't call me before, because when they book a session, it's direct on my website. So I don't know anything, but when we get right into the session, I'll say, okay, well, what is your focus? I'm going to say words, and I'll just say the words. And this lady said behavior. And it's happened a lot with clients. They'll say behavior. Well, they think it's behavior, but it's not behavior. It's that the animal is being bombarded and annoyed by a spirit,
Ooh.
not letting them sleep. There was one in particular a week ago that I had to tell her she really needed to sage her house. I mean, but like top to bottom, every corner. I'm like, you've got to sage your house. You've got to light a white candle. You got to tell them to go. And it actually um was her father-in-law,
Oh.
because she asked me, she said, is it this person? Before she said that, I told her, I said, this is because they'll describe to me what the spirit looks like to them. The animal will describe to me, and then I share it with the human. And a lot of times the human, it's not connected to the human, but in this case it was.
Oh, okay.
I had another situation that this poor dog, senior dog, was being so bombarded. It does happen with any animal, dogs, cats, but again, this was a dog. His name was Mowgli. And they had moved into this house 4 months ago. Before then, their dog was totally normal. No behavior problems. Well, she contacted me, a returning client. So I've spoken to this dog before. He'd never had behavior problems. I start communicating with the dog, and the dog's like, you don't understand. I can't sleep. They keep talking to me. They're making me crazy. Every time I try and sleep, I mean, the dog was a nervous wreck. A nervous wreck. Like he wanted to jump out of his skin.
Poor baby.
It was horrible. I mean, it sickened me. One of them was, she's telling me it was a child spirit. The other one was an older woman, and then there was an older man. None of them related, connected. They were just connected to the house. Well, her sister was there for Thanksgiving dinner. In other words, the owner of the dog, sister, was there for Thanksgiving dinner. She's majorly intuitive and connected. And she said, I see a little boy over there. And he keeps shutting and opening doors. She told her sister, you've got to cleanse this house. Her sister was like, I'll get to it. Well, another person that had to smudge their house.
Another person what?
That had to smudge their house.
Oh, wow.
And it does work. Let me tell you, if you're thorough about it, it really does work. And if you ask them to go into the light, it really does work, guys. Really.
Do you have to open a window?
You can, but I've, researched a lot of different types of techniques. Now, I do it personally with a pendulum too. Because I do a lot of pendulum work. Or if you want to call it dowsing, I do that. But I will tell you that I had moved into this house 8 or 9 months ago. And I noticed I had to do it because one of my dogs was telling me
Something's up.
And then he kept staring, and I noticed, and then I would like, I asked him, I said, is there a spirit there? And he kept telling me yes. And so I just smudged a while back when I moved in.
I had the distinct feeling that there's something bothering my animals last night. And Joe,
We can ask them.
that would be interesting. Yeah. They were staring off like, the 10,000 mile stare, and they all were acting a little bit weird. And I mean, I didn't pick anything up and Joe didn't, but I really felt like there was something in the house that was bugging them.
Well, I always have to ask this question. I didn't know it last night, but do you all know what the Schumann resonance was? Was it high?
Yeah.
Okay. That is a big thing for animals. If it's high, it's going to affect their behavior too.
It affects us. I mean, it makes sense. It affects your brain waves and all kinds of.
There was
Exactly.
like a 30-minute long big spike in it the middle of the night before last, and probably some leftover stuff there.
Well, it
Okay.
takes from the sun anyway.
Yeah.
Did you notice them different that night?
Well, it was last night, right? That there
Last night they were weird, but the night before was when the spike was.
but I wonder how long it takes to get there. I'm no expert on the Schumann, but
8 minutes.
Nor am I. No, nor am I. I only follow a couple of people that are the experts.
no. It's interesting to watch it though. Like I do keep an eye on it, especially like if I'm off kilter, if I check, oh, that might be why.
That and the planets. I always tell people, watch for the planets. Know what the astrologer's saying?
Yeah, because they know animals know that there's a storm coming or an earthquake or anything like that. They have those hypersensitivities to that.
Yeah. Oh, you said Cricket was shaking.
Yeah. My dog was trembling.
Okay. Okay. What part of the country are you all in?
We're in Texas.
San Antonio.
Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah. I was just wondering if you all were on a place that you get earthquakes or not. That's why I asked.
Not generally. We're in the path of the upcoming eclipse, but I don't know if there's a lot of weirdness surrounding that too.
There you go. There you go. And I have talked about that before with clients. Be aware of the full moon, be aware of the eclipses. They're all going to be, your animals will be affected because they're very sensitive.
Yeah. You don't think about those things.
I got from the last story that animals can be mediums too, if they're sensing the spirits and they find it annoying that they're being bothered by them. They're not oblivious to the spirits.
Well, that's one way of putting it. I say that animals are just like children, very, very young children, because young children see them. They, especially dogs, act more like a child, and I would say a cat acts more like a teenager.
Yeah.
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah, but definitely they all see it. I see it or feel it, depending.
That's interesting. Do our animals reincarnate?
Yes, I do. They can, and I get this question a lot. Can they reincarnate from a human? Yes, they can. They have shared.
So a human crosses over and they're like, I want to come down as a poodle. They can come in, and animals can come in as humans.
Yes.
I didn't think they could. That's interesting.
A soul is a soul.
So we're all level then? We're all equal?
We're still animals. And humans are animals.
I guess what I thought was, like there's like the super like ascended masters and angels and things like that, which aren't like humans. And then there's like the humans and then the animals, like, but not one is better than the other, but like a different total entity, but
Stratified or something.
yeah.
And a soul is a soul, because I will share a very interesting experience. I communicated with a cat in particular that talked to me about that they came back as a human only twice. And I shared with the person that their person, it was from what the messages they were sending me, it looked like they were from the 1920s. And from what I saw, it was kind of like they had money, and it was the dive of the stock market. It was, I had a horrible life. I didn't like it. And then he tried it one more time, this cat. Didn't like it. And he's like, no, I'm not coming back again as a human. So, that was one. And then the other one that was so amazing was I communicated with this dog that he was a Zen master as a human.
Wow.
And when I shared it with the human, she was like, "Oh my gosh, that totally makes sense," because this woman happened to be Buddhist, by the way. I didn't know. And even though they're totally different, totally different religions, but there's that kind of certain that they believe in similar things, kind of
Yeah.
like Christianity and Catholicism, sort of, kind of. That's how she described it to me. So I told her everything about his life that he described to me. And then I told her about their soul contract and what he was supposed to teach her and she was supposed to learn.
Come back for part 2 of our fascinating interview with Ani, the animal communicator.